All right, guys, today we have a very special topic lined up for you, and that is called distance or remote healing. That means healing for a person who might not be present in front of you. And to discuss this, we have a very seasoned and experienced dowser and a healer, Miss Alicja Aratyn from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, with us. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, my pleasure.
It is, such a thing that a lot of people are not aware about, that healing can also be done at a distance. And you have been involved with this for so many decades now. So I thought that it would be so nice if you could share some of your thoughts, which revolve around the world of dowsing, healing, and remote dowsing or remote healing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So maybe we will start with the presentation as the previous time, and then eventually, if there will be some questions, then we can talk about it in a moment. All right? So
Yes.
let me share the screen. And because, as we talked before, the picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's I'm sorry. So let's do it. Let's start to work on it.
Yeah.
So I call it also broadcasting with pendulums because very often in North America, that's how dowsers call it. I would prefer the remote dowsing, which means dowsing on distance, which is also called, in Europe, it is called teleradiesthesia because tele is on distance. Radius, as we talked before, is ray or radius in English. And aesthesis is a Greek word meaning sensitivity. So it is sensitivity to specific vibrations detected or sent on distance. But before we will start to talk in details about this, let us just look back on our ancestors, because as Isaac Newton said once, I see more because I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors.
Wonderful.
And I think, well, you know, Dr. Prabal is from the culture, and I also came from the culture and tradition which value extremely high the family and the ancestry and all this inheritance which we take, which we get from the past. North American continent is slightly different because everyone here is like second, third generation only, and many, you know, what I was going through, and I still sometimes, of course, stumble upon it, that children speak language better or on higher level than you, or their older elders, and therefore there is a kind of a lack of communication on the proper colorful level. But on the other hand, very little amount of them, young generation, are interested in the letters, the language of their ancestors. So that creates some disturbance here. But I hope with time we will all overcome it. So let's look for a moment what our ancestors, scientists, alchemists, our ancestors said. So let's begin with the quote from Paracelsus, who said that art of healing comes from nature, not from physician. Therefore, the physician must start from nature with the open mind. And I hope that we all keep this open mind through this lecture and many other lectures you will listen to with with Professor Prabal, because dowsing, like nothing else, opens up new possibilities and make a lot easier your connection with higher dimensions. Another person who I would like to mention here is Michelangelo, who said once, and I have to remember about it, there is no greater harm than that of time wasted. So let's not waste any more time on preamble and talking about assisting or other topics, and go directly to the working with witnesses or dowsing on distance. The father of it is Abbe Mermet. He was a priest in Switzerland who first found the idea that if he can detect the energies with his pendulum, because he was healing with herbs, therefore he was searching for those herbs on the meadows and, in his garden and whenever he was. So he said that if I can detect the energy with my pendulum, which that means that everything radiates the energy. After him, this concept was also picked up by Lakowski, great physicist and scientist and really metaphysician, and continued his scientific research. But Abbe Mermet wasn't really do many scientific researches, of course, because he was priest and he healed people. And therefore he first came up with the idea that what he can do maybe is if he would drill the hole in the pendulum and put those herbs there, and they will still emit the energy, then maybe he can pass this energy from the herbs to human body. And that's how the first witness chamber pendulum came to life, which in memory to Father Abbe Mermet is called until today Mermet. And I will show it to you in a moment.
Yeah.
But first, yes.
In his memory, I've been carrying.
No, I'm sorry, those are not Mermets. I think. I don't know. I think, yes, okay. All right. Okay. So it is. Yeah, I see the small screen of you, and that's why I didn't see the details. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we make them slightly differently. That's why I didn't recognize it. So let's find out a few definitions, because the base for successful communication is by building the common ground, the idea which will help us to when we talk, to understand things the same way. So I prepared for you the definition of witness. And if someone will ask you what witness is, you can just say that everything, body or object, radiates a radiosthetic ray to connect with everything of the same nature. If you will get a piece of matter representing the energy field of the source, but not the highest source over there, the source like a medication or supplement or whatever, but the original one, you created a witness. Witness will be forever connected with the source through the witness ray. So let's stop for a moment at it and And let's just explain it a little bit further. So if you will get a piece of matter representing the energy of the source, it can be a nail, a hair, a thread from the blouse or sweater. It can be really the ring, for example, or something what this person who you want to research and find out about were wearing for a certain time, for a longer time. So the energy field of this object or this piece of matter is filled with the energy of the person. Then you created a witness because it will radiate the energy of this person or this piece of matter of this house or your business and so on. All right. For example, the name of your business will radiate your business. That's why very often I work with new businesses to establish the name of the business and the date of registration, because that all has to work toward the common goal with this person, with the idea which the owner has in its mind. So it will bring him what he wants. So witness will be forever connected with the source through the witness ray. So if this pendulum is a witness chamber pendulum, and this is Mermet, and this pendulum is a witness chamber pendulum, those two,
Yeah.
then
so you're using
they are
the double Mermet pendulum. This
double
one.
Mermet. Yes,
We have
yes,
this
yes,
here
yes.
as well. I have.
That's right. So if you will, yes. So if you will compare them, the common element is material, and that they are witness chamber. So you have to check on which level you are looking for compatibility. So if you have, for example, this Mermet pendulum, which is made of brass, it connects in its field of operation, which means in its aura, let's say, or energy field. It will feel and connect with every Mermet pendulum there, but it will also connect with everything and anything what is made of brass.
Excellent.
So we have to, that's why sometimes we say something in dowsing, and sometimes we don't have to say anything. As we said before in our last meeting, with chakras, if you hold the pendulum over the chakra on specific colors, when we're talking about neutral pendulum, then it will connect with the chakra. But if you work through your hand, then you have to say, charge, I'm checking first, second, or third, or whichever chakra you want to check. And you are on this, because through here, it does not connect only with chakra, it connects with everything what vibrates of this. So if you are on red, every part of your body which vibrates to red will also be checked, because through here, you have access to all reds. All right?
Yeah.
So witness ray is something we will come back to it to it in a moment, but witness ray will be the connector between this object and everything what is made of the same material, or it is created this way that it has the same shape. So all mermaids and everything what is brass. If I have now on my desk probably 10 or 12 different pendulums, because I have golden light pendulums, but I have also different pendulums with witness chamber group. Then it will connect also, because all of them are made of brass.
Right.
It will connect also with all the pendulums, because they are made of the same material. So what is witness ray? Witness ray is a ray connecting the source of vibration with all witnesses existing in the universe, regardless of their position, distance from the source, and time. That's the principle of connecting us with our incarnations 5,000 years ago, if we were living at that time. Traveling through the timeline, and so on, because we are forever connected. So if you will get, for example, a button from my blouse, then you have a witness of me, and you can read me. And I remember when I was teaching in Singapore, and I went there first time, I was so surprised that students do not want to. I mean, when they knew me, they wanted to take pictures, but at the beginning they were very, very reserved. And when I asked the woman who organized the course why, normally people want to take pictures, and they say, no, they know that if you will have their picture, you can influence them. They, people who know will not give you their pictures. Okay, so it's
But
interesting because
nowadays everything is, there are so many social platforms, and on the books also, the authors also have their photographs, and especially politicians. They were talking about influencing some politicians to make sure that the world grows to be a peaceful place. And
yes, but you see, that's the weapon which works both ways, or cane, which has two ways. So by have his or he or her picture in my place, I can influence them, but they can also influence me.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't forget that it's two-way highway. Okay, it works both ways. So regardless of their position, which means I can connect with my mom, distance from the source, which means whenever I am, if someone has my picture, can connect to me, and misunderstanding or misrepresentation of this fact brings many people, many of my clients, quite big emotional traumas and problems, because, for example, voodoo also works on this principle. So things can be a blessing or can be a curse. So when you understand this, I don't want to scare people, but when you know, you just know, and you act smarter in your life. All right, let's go through witness chamber pendulum so we will have an idea. As I said, that's the Mermet, which we showed Professor Prabal and me a moment ago. So Mermet, and then small Mermet. Small Mermet is basically a ball which has an opening on the top. I didn't take it, but it looks like Mermet. However, it does not have this part. So it's round on the bottom.
Right.
Yes, that is small Mermet, and it opens like this. It has, which really is called ball. because the shape is small. And as Professor Prabal showed, you can open Mermet and put something inside. The beauty of Mermet is that the witness chamber is relatively large and the opening is wide. So whatever you want to put inside, you can, because it will, you will probably be able to do that. With other pendulums, the witness chambers are smaller, yes. Then there is a double Mermet, double because it has two balls, one on the top of the other. It's lighter, it's smaller, and the witness chamber again is smaller. However, the pendulum is slightly stronger. However, original Mermet is also strong because it's heavy and larger. So, you know, you give up something for something. Double Mermet G is a pendulum which G stands for German version, because for some reason in Germany people like it. Also two balls, upper is bigger than lower, witness chamber is divided into two pieces. So you can put the smaller piece or bigger piece and then you connect them. And that's a double pendulum. And double pendulum is a pendulum which you can open. This is a pendulum for people who work outside often. For example, searching for water. So you have big witness chamber here, which you can, I'm not sure if that will go inside, but no, it won't. But relatively long witness chamber because it goes like that deep. So it's almost more than one part of my one and a half parts of my index finger, and smaller one. So you connect them when you work outside, and because of the weather, you have to have a heavier pendulum so the wind will not move it, and so on. So that's why you have the bigger one. Smaller one inside is when you work on a map inside to originally to have a first look at the map, and then you always go into terrain to look after it. But you can also open this. Moment. And take this part away, either connect this top without small pendulum with the large one if you want a bigger witness chamber, or if you want to have even lighter pendulum, you can take away this top part. The screw is long because it has to connect a few things, and put just inner smaller pendulum on this, so you will have really very small pendulum and very light pendulum to work on the map, especially when you work on a map for a longer time. And then the hollow pendulum. The hollow pendulum was really developed for geologists. So they were looking, or my friend who developed this pendulum many years ago, looked into the lightness of the pendulum, because for geologists, the sample is heavy. It's a piece of crystal or something. So you can open it and then put inside. There is a plexi insert, so you can put the witness inside, close, and dowse. In Europe, very popular are the pendulums with the witness closed inside, locked inside. Because when we're talking about the herbs and elements, vitamins and minerals, sometimes connection with the oxygen will oxidize them and they are losing their potency. So therefore, they are locked for good. And this pendulum is only used in healing. So M&M means macro and micro elements in one. And on our website, if you are interested, there is a list of micro and macro elements which are inside. And that's why it says here M&M plus, because there is a few more vitamins here, and it's forever closed in this pendulum. And when you work in healing with this pendulum, after finding the wavelength of your client or yourself, you will say, well, working with all elements and micro and macro elements which you have in your disposal, please balance my health. And you just wait until it will stop.
Excellent.
Okay. So you don't have to know really what you are lacking or this person are lacking, what should be the healthy for this person amount of anything. You just ask pendulum to read the body and act respectively. We have I cannot show it to you because it's protected and it's safely packed, so it will not so nothing will drop out of the box. In the wooden box there is this universal set of 49 pendulums. Each of them contains a different element and you can build on. You also have here the stand on which you can put those pendulums and send multiple elements to the same person. There is also periodic table which will allow you to send those energies to the person who is there, who needs it. So basically you will put the pendulum on the top of this one and second. So you will take it from here and put it here and the third and whichever amount you need. And then you take the stand here, you put this pendulum on the top of the stand. Stands can be used without the set, and we also sell the stands for the pendulum. So the pendulum lies on the stand like this, and it grabs the energies. So when it goes from here, it grabs the energy of all those from the tops of the pendulums, tips of the pendulums, all those energies, and send it to the stand, which you can hear, which you have here. I'm sorry for doing this. This is stand, you would put it here with the sample of this person. And then the pendulum grabs vibration and sends it to the person. So it's complex, so that's why there is an instruction how to use it and a big table of what elements should be used with what health condition and so on and so on. Before we will go further, I want to also bring to our mind the quote from St. Augustine, who said, that miracles are not contrary to nature, but only contrary to what we know about nature, of course, today. So before we will close this this session, I would like you just to remember contact with us. We will now exit, and then I would like to show you the one thing which also worked, and we were talking with Professor Prabal about it before we started. So
I want to mention that the presentation which you have just shown, finished, was excellent. It had so many things which were new, which people hardly know about. And especially the last portion, where you showed the picture of the various 49 pendulums which can, emit different elements which are required by a person's body. And then one more thing which was very important was that the M&M locked pendulum which you have, because if you open some of the elements, they lose the very purpose for which we want to use them to send healing, because of the oxygen reaction which they have. And therefore it is important that somebody has to help a particular healer to put in and lock in. And if you are giving that, I think this is something which would be much appreciated by a lot of healers out there. So this is excellent. So, Ms. Aratyn, you were showing this Orameter.
Yes, if I may, I will just summarize when we did before. Well, of course, set of 49 pendulum is expensive, or it's, it just contains a lot of work and everything is handmade. So it's complex. But for those of you who, I'm sorry, I have to connect my laptop. I forgot to do that. I'm sorry. So those of you do not work with samples so often, you can just take periodic table, use your pendulum to find out what elements you are missing, and you can by one put in this pendulum, for example, Mermet, in a form of for example, pill. So if someone needs calcium, then you will probably not get calcium, pure calcium, because calcium is not very well absorbed, but you can have Calmac, which is calcium with magnesium. But when you will say, supply me with calcium, or supply or balance the level of magnesium in my body, then what will happen is that from the combination of calcium and magnesium, vibrationally only calcium or magnesium will be extracted. Similar way to what we were talking in last and first our meeting, that from white light we can extract just one vibration. That's right, red or yellow or something. Here is the same. It's never absolutely pure. That's why in this set of 49 pendulums in Europe, when people are used to working with individual elements, it's easier for them to understand and appreciate this set. But as I said, many people use Mermet or double Mermet or any of witness chamber pendulum to just pass the vibration of something to the body. All right. I have a friend, I've never done it myself, but I have a friend in Poland, a healer, who would use, for example, and it's not that I advise to do that to anyone, just to give you an example. for example, insulin to the witness chamber pendulum and vibrates to the frequency of insulin to the clients who have imbalanced sugar level in their blood. So that's one thing, and many other things which they would do, like there are extremely expensive shots from Mexico, anti-cancerous shots, and they would use one for many treatments. So imagine that pharmaceutical industry does not love us all very much, because we can use one pill
Yes.
of, let's say, vitamin C for many clients, or for one client for multiple amount of treatments. And that's the problem. So from one bottle of vitamin C, you have 60 people or 100 people who can benefit from the frequency of it. Of course, you have to check it from time to time, because definitely you will use the vibration. So therefore, at certain point, it will be depleted of this vibration. It's not that it will work endlessly, but definitely for a longer time. So to check, you can simply take the pill. I don't have a pill here, but let's say that's the pill. You can put it on the you can put it here, pretending that that's the pill. And you can take the pendulum and say, show me the vitality of this pill. And then the question is, statement, but counting in ones, counting in tens. Yes, so on the scale from 0 to 100%, 10, yes, which means I go higher, 20, 30, no, so 29, 28, and so on. So you need to have your own kind of scale, what is acceptable for you or not. If it's below 30, I would treat it as rather depleted. But if situation is very tragic, I would definitely extract more from those 30%, So it depends on which level of comfort with taking those substances you are. But we were talking with Professor Prabal before the class about this dowsing rod, which is called Orameter. Yes. It's very interesting. It was developed by the man by the name of Cameron, yes, in United States. And original Cameron Orameters are relatively expensive. We make the less expensive version of it. So it may not look so beautifully, but it works very well. What is interesting about this, and not too many people know about it, that here in the handle, there is a witness chamber. It's empty inside. So if you will put something deep down, so it will touch this area here, the metal part. So for example, this pendulum, and Dr. Prabal puts a different pendulum there. We can make this rod vibrating the frequency of gold or white light, just because the pendulum touches the metal, so the frequencies go along this rod and ends up on this bullet, right? So we can send to the person which lies, for example, the picture lies on the table, and we can say, just through the vibration of gold, balance their whole energetic system. But you can, of course, put the crystals there for people who work with crystals, or you can put a specific pill there, and so on. Just one thing which you need to remember, either you work with the witness chamber pendulum or this chamber in Orameter, if you want to put something what is in liquid form, so for example, essences or aromatherapy oils or blessed water, whatever you want, which is liquid, or actually powder as well, then it's always better to take like a Kleenex, something what is 100% cotton, and the piece of, if it's a liquid, then you need to take a piece of, either piece of Kleenex or a piece of cotton ball, like those makeup removers, for example,
Yes.
and then put it in the Kleenex, and only then put this into the witness chamber, here or here. All right. So the substance will not go into chemical reaction with the metal, because metal absorbs it, and it will be very hard to release this vibration from the metal. And the point is that the metal, the witness chamber pendulum or rod, should be clear, should be empty of any vibration, should be clear. All right, so coming back to Orameter. Orameter only bobs, it does not rotate. It is attached to the base this way that it does not, which does not allow it to rotate, all right? So if you want to check something, you hold it like this. And you can check something what is below, okay? For example, the dosage. So that would be my yes, and my no is this way, side to side. You need to find your own. But if you want to check compatibility with something, so for example, is it beneficial for me to take something, then you can move the bullet toward you. You have to learn at the beginning how to hold the orometer that it will not dance, but stay straight. And you hold the handle this way that it touches your hand chakra, okay? So your energy flows there. And for example, you take this pendulum and you hold it so the rod is between this pendulum and you, all right? And you wait. You don't have to say anything. And it will show you if it connects you with it or not. So that connected me with it, going back and forth. You, which means pendulum, and me are fine together, all right? If I will take this glass of water and I will, oh, I'm sorry. There was something sliding on this. Okay, so if I will take the water and put my hand and put the rod in between, then it connects me with this water, which means that I need to take a sip of water right now or more. But for example, we did this when I took the external hard drive and I hold it here, yes? And I put the rod in between this and me, and the rod was creating a shield between me in this and this, which means it is not compatible with me. But of course, if I have to, I just connect it with my laptop and work with it. All right. So if you want map DAOs, for example, you can move the bullet in opposite direction away from you, and then you hold the rod this way, and the rod, so the handle this way, again, it touches your hand chakra, and then you scan the map. And the moment it will find it, I'm making it up right now, it will just punch the map. So what all dowsers would do is when it pinched the map, then they would have an ink or the paint on the side, put only the tip of this rod in this paint, and then go back. And this time, when it will just touch the map, it will make a point with the paint to mark exact spot when something is located. Of course, it does not mean that you can go there and dig a well, to find the water. You have to go, but you have to go in this terrain and try to find it, pinpoint really, because really this is a map, so it has a specific scale, and therefore it can mean bigger area in reality.
Right.
So,
and nowadays it has been so easy since the advent of Google Maps. It is so easy because what we do normally is we first take the map of a particular area, and then wherever it points that this particular place you will find the missing person or the missing thing or something which you're looking for. Then we take a different map of a zoomed in level, then a different map
yes,
of a further
absolutely
level.
Yes.
I remember
so you basically narrow it down to very big scale or small scale, depending which way you count. But still in dowsing, there is this rule: never presume, always check. So I would suggest still go there and check in the real life where exactly this well should be digged. But yes, absolutely enlarging the smaller and making smaller pieces and make it more, more detailed is absolutely fantastic idea.
Sometimes the situation so demands that we do it remotely, as well as our topic today was remote healing and remote dowsing. So what happened in a particular case was that a person lost a lot of money. Somebody stole it from him, and he just ran away. In India, it would be called 3 crore rupees. What it will translate to the Canadian dollars, we'll have to do a little bit of mathematics for that. But it was kind of a huge amount for him. So he went from here in New Delhi, where I'm sitting right now, to a faraway place called Calcutta in order to chase that guy. And he's trying to text me. And when I receive a lot of text, I responded back, what has happened? So he told me that this is the problem. I said, okay, send me the picture of the person who has taken this money from you. Let me see whether he is there in Calcutta or not, because he took 1 or 2 bouncers with him. And there was a lot of expenditure he was incurring every time. He also contacted the police department in order to let them know where his mobile phone has pinged, etc. So at that time it was late at night. So I told him that probably he's not in Calcutta, but I'll be able to figure out where he is only tomorrow morning. And the next morning he was there with me, and we were working with the help of Google Maps. And I found that he was not in India. So we found that he was probably somewhere in the UAE, Dubai. So he said, yes, he does carry some kind of a support in the UAE. So I said, yes, he looks to be in UAE. I figured out a 10 to 15 kilometer radius area. But he did not go to UAE. What he did was he gave some money to some official in the UAE to find out whether this particular passport holder has entered their country or not. And then once he got the confirmation that on a particular 4th of, I think it was 4th of January 2020 or 2021, that he did enter. And then he stopped all the activities over here and went. And one more question which arose in his mind was that the information being given by some of the technical people was that the phone has pinged somewhere in Mumbai. I said, I don't know. Maybe that he was in Mumbai that particular point in time when that information has come to you. What I can say, because the person is a movable thing. So it is not like gold, which is there particularly at one point, at one place. What I can say is I have a reading that he is not in India, he is there, and he was ultimately found there. So in such cases where a lot of money was involved and we could have hardly, there is no clue where to go. So remote dowsing and remote healing, they come in so much handy. And I would like to ask you if you could relate any of the cases, any of the interesting instances where remote healing would have worked for you or your people, and you still cherish those moments. If you could just share anything on that account, your healing experience with our audience.
Yes, in most cases, for many years, because I lived in Canada for 30 years, and my mom died about 10 years ago. So for 20 years, I was dealing with my mom pain. She was quite sick after the war and so on.
Which war?
I'm sorry, I'm thinking in European Second World War.
Second World War. So 1945. Yes. Since 1945, then she became little ill. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she was on and off on different things, but I understand now a lot better what was the purposes and root causes of her sickness. At that time, I didn't. So I was working with her remotely, and I was very happy that she always felt it. So she knew exactly when I was working on her and so on. I like to work at night just because remotely, just because the energy on the world is quieter. Industry does not work, and or if they work, there is less of movement and so on, and less planes are flying, and all this mess which we have mostly during the day. And of course there is a time difference, but still half of the world is kind of quieter. So I like to work at night. But I had a case when this woman, I don't like telling the truth. My cup of tea is healing, so I don't like to locate the objects or whatever. But I remember once my friend called me and she said that her friend daughter found this job in the store, very meaningless job, but still provided some money. And she lost the key to the store. She was supposed to close the store, and she was so afraid because she had some misunderstanding with the manager before, and she was on the verge of being fired. So she says, if they will find out that she lost this key, then forget it. And I said, I do not do it normally, but I would do my best. And so I started to douse, and I said, it's in her car, at the back of her car. And she said, no, she checked the car and so on. But the car, she brought the car to the mechanic. So it really wasn't in her possession. But she called the mechanic early in the morning and asked him to check the back of the car. And he did. And he said that, yes, there are keys. And they were actually stuck in between rear seat, between the seat and the rest, and the backrest. All right, and they were over there, so nobody see them. I treated this as an lucky incident. However, I know that there is no such things, but I wouldn't, based on this one thing, I wouldn't say that I'm good in finding lost objects. I just don't like to do it. You see, we talked from the beginning that we will talk about, that we will dedicate some time to healing and my examples, but it's hard for me to talk about it because I incorporate many things. I'm interested in new medicine, therefore I work a lot with the brain, with specific relays, which means the areas of the brain which send the electrical impulses to specific parts of the body, which are responsible for storing specific emotions and so on. So it's not that I only work with dowsing in my work. Always my first session is dedicated, or majority of first session is dedicated to explain to people why they are sick and what's going on here, which creates this sickness, which creates a specific condition. And we talked at the very beginning in our first session that fear is what makes people sick, and progressively sicker and sicker. So my first session is always to make people understanding what is going on, and that they will not be so afraid of the sickness. They will rather embrace the situation so they can work with, not against.
Yeah. Excellent.
Right. And then I practically always balance chakras. So I bring the energy field. I only work on Zoom with clients. So for years, it's not about COVID. I don't deal with this. So I bring the energetic body of this person here. That's why I always have something black. I have black leather, on my desk. I have black, because black is absence of color. So whatever I will do, there is no
Interference.
Influence of other vibration from the background. All right. So I use neutral pendulum and I balance the pendulum. But also one of the rules which I have, and everyone knows and have some way of clearing, is that I always first clear and then heal.
Yes, you've mentioned it in many of your videos.
Yes, it's extremely important in my case, and because I see certain things and certain lifetimes and so on and so on. So I know from my experience with clients that it makes humongous difference. Even balancing the chakras, people think that, you move this pendulum, it waves and whatever. It's nothing, because I suffer with liver problem, not with all my body problems. Like, we are not Western medicine. We do not extract one organ and work with it. We work with all the problems, and my clients give me different type of, very often I work with emotional issues. with people rather than physical, or physical, but we see that it's based on emotions. And for example, the client which I had 2 days or 3 days ago, she sent me an email and she said, "Thank you. I was dancing for majority of the day after our session, and I was elated, and I'm so happy. And thank you very, very much." In my opinion, we just started to uncover, the real purpose of her, so we can remove them. Because if we will go to the root cause of the problem and people will understand them, that's my approach to healing. Then they will know what to do, what not to do in the future, where to stop and say, "Hey, I've been there. Thank you very much. I know this path. I'm not going there anymore. I will stop and choose another path." So it's all, I always use pendulum. That's why I have, as I told you, 12 or 10 pendulums always in my desk when I work with people.
Excellent.
My work is slightly different. Sometimes I work through acupressure points or acupuncture points and remove the old from the previous lifetimes, the blockages there. So
that is interesting. Very nice. Very, very nice. In fact, you talked about and touched so many points today. You touched about, finding the root cause and learning why a particular sickness has come to a particular person. You've talked about, removing the emotional blockages, which
absolutely
are causing those diseases to happen. And
Yes.
you also made us aware of the various kinds of pendulums and other dowsing tools which are used for healing today. I am very grateful to you for sharing all this knowledge with our people. And I hope that we will continue to share on other aspects of dowsing and healing in the future as well. I once again, Ms. Aratyn, thank you for sharing and being with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.